Hello, it's Rhea, wherever you are and whatever time it is, I hope you are enjoying yourself. And we are here today with a video that is very much long overdue. Oh my gosh. I mean, you guys have probably noticed I've had like gaps in my so-called frequent posting schedule, which I mean I talked about before, and I think all throughout this year I've mentioned that it wasn't gonna be as spot on because of work and stuff, but this has most definitely been like the main culprit for why lately it's been pretty bad. It's because I've been trying to finish this little series. So yeah, but it's been a while since I've done something for my Persartify series, which, if you don't know what that is, basically it's like a series of me personifying things. Like personification, if you don't know what that is, it's creating character design based off of just like objects or things that are not human. It's very fun, very enjoyable, and I am just always looking for an opportunity to do that. And around last year, actually, I was doing the same thing by turning fall flavors into characters. So if you haven't seen that video, that's also another one that I really like how it turned out. It was like, I think pumpkin spice and maple and all of that. And yeah, it was like actually on brand with the time of year. This, however, is completely irrelevant to the time of year, as you can see, as I am doing, you might have guessed it from the title or the thumbnail, but I am personifying flowers, and what they would be like if they were fairies, mayhaps? But I feel like the fairy part kind of gets lost in translation, I don't know. So yeah, I just wanted to draw some flowers as people, and we are starting with a flower that I very much adore, but I'll talk about each one of them as we go on, but just to get some like basic info out, this video's pretty laid back and very chatty because it's pretty much like multiple procreate time lapses. So if you're the kind of person that gets impatient just staring at a time lapse, then please feel free to draw along or like use me as background noise or something. I know that this kind of formatting isn't everyone's favorite, but in this case, as much as I want to show the real-time footage, this process, like, to complete the series, as I've already said, it was way too long, and, like, it's just inconsistent. Like, I would work on it, and then I'd just stop for, like, a week or 2 weeks and just be like, oh, I can't do it. And then, by the time I'm done, it's, like, even the time lapses, like, this time lapse that you're seeing, it's only gonna be around, like, maybe 7 to 8 minutes. The full footage for a procreate time lapse, this procreate time lapse was 15 minutes. That's not, that's not really normal. A lot of procreate time lapses, well, it depends on how long you work on them, but needless to say, I worked on these for a long period of time. I wish I could be someone that draws faster or just creates things a lot more concise and streamlined, but that was definitely not the case here. I mean, it's not a bad thing, like, don't get me wrong, I feel like it's not really something that people should have to worry about or feel like they have to worry about, but for me, it's just one of those things where I get frustrated because I already feel like I have limited time to create stuff, so if it takes me a long time, then I'm just like, oh, why am I so slow? Why can't I just, like, get to the point, blah, blah, blah. But in general, I feel like what I'm doing, since all of these are, like, a spread of, like, rendered character designs that I'm doing kind of like more or less on the spot, it's like it does kind of make sense that it took a while. There's a lot of me trying to figure out stuff is what you'll see throughout the time lapses, and it's fun, but it is like, you know, you have to think about stuff. So yeah, that does cause a delay. My actual process and creating them too is like a bit random. Like, I didn't really use a Pinterest board. At most, I did do studies of the flowers themselves, so that one video, not the last one that I released, but I think the one before that, the silent studies video where I'm drawing a bunch of flowers, that's kind of like a teaser to this video. You probably couldn't tell because it's like a whole like 2 months or so later, but surprise! So yeah, I mean, coming up with these characters, it's not anything special on terms of like I'm not doing like months of research or anything like that. I really just take inspiration from whatever I read about. So I just Google like, oh, what's the meaning of this flower? And then I kind of look into backstories or things like that. And then I also look at the flower itself, like how it looks. And then after I get the inspiration from both the meaning and like the physical look of whatever it is I'm personifying, I kind of just throw in like my initial like vibes I get from whatever it is I'm referencing. So I just come up with all these like fun little traits almost on the spot, and yeah, I just go from there. So for this first one, process-wise, I really just jumped into it. I didn't like do any kind of pre-sketching. I just opened the Procreate document and prayed. But this is also the only one that I do a full body for, because after doing it, I was like, yeah, maybe not. It's exhausting. So I tried to leave it out of the next two to speed up the process, but the other two took even longer than this one. So I don't know. But yes, this first one is a hydrangea flower. I love them very much. They kind of remind me of like a bunch of butterflies clustered up together, which like normally would be very disturbing to me because I don't like the idea of like bugs clustered together. I think that's very like disgusting or disturbing. But with a hydrangea, I don't know, that's what it reminds me of, and I think it's really cute. I feel like they look really like pretty and almost like eccentric, I guess. I don't know, they're a really interesting flower. And basically my inspiration from this one came from the fact that like well, one, I think its name means water vessel in Greek apparently, according to like the Wikipedia website. But also, even aside from that, it's just very popularly associated with the rainy season, especially in Japan. So yeah, water played a pretty big part in her theme. It's kind of what made me go with blue as the main color, because I do really like the pink hydrangeas, but I also feel like blue is like the most well-known. Like it's one of the most common that you think of when you think of hydrangeas. So yeah, and for the longest time I thought of a character having like a hydrangea bush as like an afro type hairstyle because it just sounds so cute, so I snagged the opportunity. I'm not a huge fan of her outfit, I will say. I think I was initially going for like a swimsuit, but I don't know, it kind of just got lost of an idea. It's something that I want to revisit for sure, but I do like the ribbon, and I like the idea of her wearing like reflective blue jewels or gems. Like I love her teardrop earring. I also really like the chibi in its raincoat. But yeah, in general, she seems very like cutesy little sister energy, like very curious and amused or scared by things. I also feel like she would have like crybaby energy sometimes, so, like she could cry on command if she wanted to. But other than that, I would say she's a pretty calm, collected individual. Now her power would be based off of, you know, water and rain, of course. She would store water in her umbrella, and generally I would say she guides like lost entities through rainfall, and maybe she could help agriculture by bringing in more rain. I don't know, who knows. So yeah, that is the first one. I really enjoyed it, even though it gave me like a lot of hell, especially with the what is it? The actual petals of a hydrangea. That is like the hardest thing for me to get down, because with the next two flowers, there's a general like pattern, like you can just draw them individually, but because of a hydrangea and how it's like built into a clump like that, you have to really like make sure the petals don't all look the same and that you're like drawing them at different angles, and it's a depth that I love, but I always struggle trying to create it. So I probably need to do more studies. But anyways, moving on to the next flower. So I am now drawing out the rose flower, and I'll get into her character in a little bit, but for right now you can see this is what I meant by sketched ideas. I basically just went into my old work notebook and just kind of doodled some ideas, and I ended up pretty much using them. So yeah, it was like a really good way to like generate the ideas without like fully diving in, because for some reason whenever I'm already in Procreate, like I'm on a digital format, like the ability to sketch doesn't feel as strongly as it does on like paper traditionally for some reason. But anyways, I also wanted to mention the whole fact that like, so the first design, the hydrangea, I feel like that was the closest one to incorporating the whole like flower into the design and then also having it feel very fairy-like. I mean, beforehand, whenever I did like these personification drawings, I didn't really have anything to base it off of. Like I was just turning them into a human. It wasn't a specific type of human, like, oh, I'm gonna draw them as like princesses or something like that. It was kind of just like, oh, I'll just draw you as a human being, like that's it. But this time I added the fairy element because I wanted to see if it would help me to narrow it down. And like, it's a fun concept. I just feel like we kind of get lost as we go on in these designs. But I still think the fairy thing can work. It's just it comes in different genres, I guess. You have different genres of fairies. Some of them look a little more hardcore than others, I guess, as you can see here. But I think it makes it kind of fun though, because I thought maybe these characters could like live in or like have clans or tribes. Basically like their flower is a whole family legacy thing, but maybe like the characters that I'm drawing specifically are like the chosen ones for the time being or something like that. So they like represent their family or house. Or and I also thought of this because like flowers tend to have like different versions of them, right? So that makes sense. You know, there's the rose family, but there's all different kinds of roses. So if I ever wanted to add to this, I could just be like, oh, well, this is just a different branch of the family, you know? So yeah, just like a fun, cute concept. And just to talk about like the overall process of this project, I want to say half the difficulty was trying to figure out the spread composition itself. I feel like that's something that I pay attention to a lot more now. I don't know if it's because I work in graphic design as well or what, but like I try not to overthink it whenever I'm sketching. But if I'm gonna do like a spread or like something like this, I want it to be presented in a way that flows together nicely and just kind of looks a little bit more presentable, because I'm presenting a character and like a character concept. So I don't think I needed to go this hard on it, but alas, because I remember whenever I did the fall flavors, I got so upset at myself because I was like, why did I do like an entire like character design spread? I could have just drawn the character as is, like just one portrait of them and that's it. Like it didn't need to be this whole thing. It takes a lot of energy to craft a character and to like come up with not just a character design but a whole spread where you're like showing them at different angles or things like that. It's very fun and it looks really cool whenever it's done, but it's like I don't think that was the best option for me, but I went ahead and did it again anyways, and I have the audacity to complain about how long it took. So yeah, layout was a great challenge as always, but I feel like I learned a lot from it, and each time I do these I feel like I get a little bit better with it. I also really liked doing the little title board thing, the stuff with the information on it about the characters. I went into Adobe Illustrator and I just typed it up because my penmanship is hot garbage. My handwriting is just really not I tried with the first one and I was like, nope, I'm typing this, I'm typing all of them. So I just feel like it adds a nice touch to it. And once again, I think that's the design element coming in, but other than that, I feel like just making sure the overall composition has a nice flow throughout. I think with the first one, I tried to use that as the base. Like I tried to use it as a template for the other ones on how I wanted them spaced out, but I didn't like how the composition of the first one came out. So I was like, you know what, let's try something new with the second one. And I like the second one's composition for some reason. I just feel like each part is filled in nicely. Like there's not too much negative space. Everything just kind of fits together well. And I love the option of a chibi at the bottom. I think I started doing that whenever I did last year's personifications, but I just think it's so cute to add in a chibi, and I love how these chibis turned out. In fact, I was wondering because I wanted to practice making stickers. Would this be something that you guys are interested in? These little chibis, these little character chibis. I would put them with their flowers, so it'd be like its whole thing. And I would probably redraw it just to make it a little bit more streamlined. But I thought of that and I was like, that might be cute. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I might still do it regardless of what anyone thinks because I kind of want them as stickers too. But as figuring out the composition was difficult, I feel like another thing that was kind of challenging was me doing this painterly process, which has been like more often of a thing that I go to on terms of like drawing process, like digital drawing process. I've been trying to grow into it more and more, but I'm still a little bit awkward, and I feel like overall it has a really cool look to it. Like I like the nice rendered, like polished look that it offers without like line art and things like that. And it's kind of cool because you can just draw over or like paint over things if it doesn't come out how you want it, but it's also kind of frustrating at times. I'm basically just trying to figure out what the most efficient way to do that process is, because right now it's taking me a very long time to get what I want done. And so I feel like that was another reason as to why this spread turned out way longer than I would have expected it to be, because back in the day, like maybe a year or two ago, probably, yeah, 2 years ago, because I think last year is whenever I started doing this painterly style more. But I am the kind of person that I'm so used to doing like sketch, then line art, then flats, and then I render the flats, and I have tons of layers. But this style is a little bit more less layers, more like trying to figure things out on the spot. And I think that like push and pull that I have to go through with like the rendering process really slowed me down, but I mean, it's good to learn, so I can't say I fully hate it. And then another thing that I was wondering is, next time whenever I go to do this, should I try to utilize making Pinterest boards? Because, you know, I feel like it's a pretty, like, standard thing to do. You want to get all of your, like, thoughts and ideas gathered up together. But another thing is, I kind of want to make sure that I'm not too influenced, because I feel like it's hard for me, like, once when I see an idea of something, it's hard for me to get that exact idea out of my head, and I don't want to like recreate something with that general idea, even though I know that's okay. Like I know that's what a lot of people do. It's more or less using references, right? But sometimes I'm like, I don't want too much influence because I kind of like the things that I come up with on my own. But I mean, if I didn't use a reference for anything else, I should have definitely studied or just done more studies of things. In general, I feel like this, every time when I go to do these, I realize that there's still so much for me to learn with art, and it's like one of those things where it's like a blessing and a curse, because on one hand you feel overwhelmed and you're like, oh, I don't know anything, I'm dumb, oh, I have so much to learn, I have so much to grow on, but it's also really exciting because you're like, oh, I can only get better from here. You know? So yeah, like just clothing, weapons. Oh my gosh, whenever it came to like the weapons for this next one, I had so many like ideas, but I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I feel so uncultured and dumb, but it's fine. We'll get there. We'll get there. I will say, regardless of how long it took and how often frustrating it was and how much I really wanted this to be over, I am still glad that I did this. Like, I'm actually kind of proud of myself. And I'm mostly glad with how all of them came out. So that's pretty nice, because normally I like hate a lot of the stuff that I make, or not hate, but I often like, I can really pick apart the things that I make often. So for me to be like, yeah, I actually really like how all these personifications turned out for the most part, I feel like that's pretty good. That's nice. And it was actually just fun in general. I already kind of want to draw the characters like interacting together, because just like creating all of these like ideas and like designs, it kind of makes you want to bring it to life more, and the next step is to do like more art of them. And I feel bad because my personification type characters, this is usually the only time that I draw them. After that I'm like, well, I'll use you again if I need to, I guess. But yeah, I hope that I can, you know, keep them alive well and stuff like that. If you guys want to do like fan art of them, I guess that is totally a-okay with me. I'd be excited. And plus, this is actually serves as like some kind of character sheet, so you kind of have something to go off of, whereas most of my OCs are just floating in the void. But to quickly talk about the Rose character that I'm drawing, I truly love her concept. I think it's very fun. I feel like in general, roses, especially red, are usually known for being like a very passionate flower, and they're used for dramatic themes, so I wanted to kind of incorporate that and use it as inspiration. I could have went for like a cute romantic concept, but I wanted someone to be badass, you know? And I was like, is that okay for a fairy? Because once again, I feel like, I don't know how much it matches the theme, but I like to think of the term fairy being used loosely here, where it's more about like their ability to use magic based on their flower type and either help or disadvantage humans and other fairies. So, but I feel like here, aside from her being a baddie, her legacy is like kind of in royalty, because, you know, roses, I feel like you would be like from a family of like high prestige or high honor, but I think it'd be cool if she especially was a part of like a special ops or like something in the background, where it's like she'd have to protect the royalty by getting her hands dirty in the shadows. It's kind of giving Yor from Spy Family, but like once again, I really love badass characters, so. And most people wouldn't know that she's doing all that, you know? They would think that she's just like this ravishing beauty who hosts royal balls and stuff. So she has older sister energy, kind of like also wine auntie energy, where it's like you'd go to her for advice and she'd be like, oh, you poor thing, they're giving you trouble again? I can give you some poison if you need it, like, don't worry. I feel like she'd be very much like a drama queen who likes luxury, and while she seems like she's a lot to handle, I would say her loyalty and passion would run deep for those she cares about. Like, there would be no bigger ride or die than her. And then lastly, her weaponry is like a dagger that whenever it's activated, I guess by stabbing someone, it could like stretch the rose vines and immobilize people. I also consider the idea of which the roses turn black to indicate they've transformed into like a poisonous form, but anyways, fairies, love, peace. No, but real quick, just a couple more anecdotes before I talk about this next one that I'm currently drawing. Drawing the Rose character, I loved her outfit, but it's definitely more like sexy than practical, you know? But I did really enjoy like the addition of the tights. But there's also like an option where she like doesn't have to be wearing them. Like in the chibi one, she's not wearing her tights, but I think it'd be kind of cute. The placement of her really gave me hell, and that was whenever I was really trying to figure out a better placement, and it did work out in the end, but oh my gosh. Another thing is I kind of wanted to give her like curly hair, like curled, like genuine curls, but I forgot how the hair pattern for that works, so my brain just kind of gave up, and I was like, it's gonna be curly, wavy mess, whatever, nonsensical, cool, nice. I was really just trying to get it over with at that point. And then also the amount of roses that I drew, I didn't use a brush, by the way. I probably should have. In that moment I understood like, oh, that's why people use brushes, because of what the heck, like to lace the ends of her dress with like each individual rose and draw that out. Not sure what I was on, not sure what kind of confidence I had. I mean, it came out nice and it definitely looks cool, but I did not have to go that far. I did not have to go that ham. Could have saved myself some work. Work smarter, not harder. And for the final flower personification that I drew, this is a flower that I very much love a lot. It is very dear to me, and that is the sakura flower. I wanted to do a guy for this one because I knew that I'd naturally gravitate towards drawing another cute girl, especially for this one, but I need more cute guys, I don't know. So alas, I asked for y'all's help on options too, so that's why you saw me draw like 2 different versions, because I was like, I don't know, which one do I want to go with? And y'all were like, Rhea, I need you to stop drawing these long-haired men, you need to get it together. Stop turning them into princesses. And I'm like, I can't help it. I was really ready to risk it all and just give everything, because we had a whole like petal-shaped chest cutout. Dude had a skirt. It was giving everything, which all were like, no. And I was like, understandable, have a nice day. So we went with the second option, which it really grew on me, honestly, because like I wasn't sure how I wanted to execute this, but I like how he came out. So, regarding the inspiration, I was actually intrigued to know the meaning behind this flower, because for the longest time I actually never really knew what the genuine meaning of a sakura flower was, and there's several stories and stuff here and there, but mainly it's about the ephemeralness of life. Because life, like the flower itself, it can be so beautiful at its blossoming peak, but it's rather short-lived before like the petals fall to their death. So it's kind of dark, but it's also like meaningful at the same time. And this narrative especially highlights soldiers for Japan, apparently. So this kind of helped me in creating almost like a samurai-themed character. I don't know, because like initially I was trying to figure out if I wanted to take the route of incorporating more traditional clothing and weaponry, because it would be like a clever way to work like information into character design, and it'd be like a nice cultural learning opportunity. However, I figured with like my lack of time to continue this project and just wanting to get this last one over with, I just kept it simple and pushed through. So when I do know more though, I would love to revisit his design a bit. But until then, this is Haruto. So we are using the kanji characters for spring and time to create his name. Initially, I wanted to use the character for spring and samurai, but I was like, is that too on the nose? Like, I don't know. I wasn't sure if either name spellings were like common in Japanese, but maybe that's fine. I don't know. I feel like it fits his character though, because seeing how like the sakura is like a spring flower and how the meaning of it has to do with like the quick passing of time, I was like, okay, kinda, yeah, we're getting there. In general, like with the names, I try to create names similar to what their personification is of. In the past though, sometimes I'll literally just leave their name as whatever the personification is. Like I think last one that I did, I left Maple's name. Actually no, I turned Maple's name into Mabel. Short for Maybelline, but I mean, more or less, it's kind of like the same idea, right? It's just like a fun little thing to do. And this is also like the only time I tend to name my OCs so quickly because I feel obligated to. Especially with these character sheets, I think it's like a fun way to introduce them to you guys. So yeah, the hydrangea character's name is Anji from the end part of hydrangea, and it's also taken from the Japanese name for it, which is Ajisai. And then Rose's name, instead of it being Rose, I decided to go with Rouge because it's French for red, and it also seems like a name for someone that's pretty yet with like an edge to them. So yeah, fun times. I wish I could have applied this to like my unnamed OCs that I've had for like 5 years. Oops. We'll get there. Back to Haruto though. I feel like he's fairly gentle and inviting personality-wise. I think he'd be the kind of person who enjoys celebratory and laid-back atmospheres, so like Hanami gatherings, of course, because cherry blossoms. But yeah, he just likes to see everyone at ease and like enjoying life while they can. And he's also the kind of person who's a bit mischievous. Like you never really know what he's gonna say or do. And that's kind of funny given his like calm and soft-looking demeanor that he likes to maintain. But I figured he's not really quiet or shy, but he does have moments where he sits in solitude and seems to be more sentimental, which ties into his powers. So basically, he carries a sword with him, and initially I wanted to try maybe creating a weapon that looked like a Uchiwa fan or some kind of like wind blade. I don't know, I just think he'd be wind themed. But the sword reinforces like the whole samurai thing though, so I feel like that kind of helps. And his sword is what helps him provide solace for the dying by cutting whatever ties they have to the living world so that they can go with peace. And it's not like he literally is like executing people, it's not like that. It's like he kind of cuts like metaphorical ties or like, you know, unseen spirit ties. It kind of reminds me of like Noragami or something. But yeah, and he also offers a sense of ease to those going through like loss or grief, because I feel like that makes sense given like the meaning of a flower and stuff like that. On terms of the drawing process, oh my gosh, tons of back and forth per usual, but I did end up drawing him, like I said, in not really traditionalistic clothing because I was like, I don't know how to execute this in a way that is like, you know, as educated and meaningful as I want it to be, so I'm just gonna skip that for now. I did give him like a robe. It's kind of like, it's like tucked into his shorts. So it is big and like baggy, but it gets tucked in, and so it just kind of drapes on him. And the rest of his outfit is very like business casual, except he's wearing like the it almost reminds me of like newspaper boy shorts. Like his outfit is very much giving like Atsushi from Bungo Stray Dogs. If you know, you know. I realized that halfway while like drawing this. I was like, wait a second, this looks familiar. That was really funny to realize, but yeah, I kind of wish that I continued maybe playing with like the lighter streaks of hair like I did at the beginning on the first option. But I think just because I wanted to finish this so quickly, I saw the light at the end of the tunnel and I was like, okay, we gotta go. So yeah, but overall, I do think that he came out nice. And I also really wish I knew more about swords because I was racking my brain trying to like understand like, okay, there's so much to like samurai swords and just swords in general, like what do I put where, how do I do anything, I don't know. So I am excited for the moment or day that I decide to tackle weaponry design because it's really cool. So yeah, that's pretty much it. We're getting towards the end, so these are the characters, and once again, I am finally glad for this to be over with. Oh my gosh. I do already know what theme I'd like to personify next, but if you have any suggestions, I would love to take them. Maybe I can continue this series whenever spring comes around again, because, I mean, there's so many flowers to personify, so... But next time, for sure, I'm thinking to maybe just do a spread like this as, like, a genuine sketch session first, to generate the ideas of, like, what design I want to do, and then pick a final design, and either do it as an illustration of, like, a bust-up size, or just one full body pose, because that makes so much more sense and saves me the workload. Also, whenever you see all of them at the end, let me know if you guys have a favorite. I love them all dearly, so it's really hard for me to choose, but until then, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed your time here today, please feel free to leave a like. If you're interested to see more of my content, you can always check out my other videos and subscribe. For reference, if you're new, I am Rhea, or Etheria, and I'm making art and art-related content on my channel. I do try to post weekly videos, but if you'd like more timely updates, you can always check out my other social media linked in the description and also at the end of the video. Until next time, once again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I wish you a nice rest of your day and week. Take care!